Welcome to the channel where all you gotta do is notch some tubing. So, an ongoing project here. Outriggers I built a few months back. But I'm just getting around to welding all this. It's all welded down in there. I still gotta do some, it's just kind of tacked here for now. I welded all the way down that seam there. Sheet metal to this sheet metal. So now I gotta weld all this around here, which I'm just gonna tack it right now, and then when it's on the rotisserie I can get it like better. So I gotta cut a hole in that so I can weld that back on. Alright, so that thing's all trimmed and just need to TIG weld that guy in there. So working on the roll cage on this guy here. And I got to put these little angles in here. Show a picture of that in CAD. Yeah, these guys right here. So there's a couple ways you can do this. You can buy a tubing notcher, which totally works. They take up space in the shop, and you need a drill, a cordless drill, something to drive it. If you happen to have a Bridgeport, which I do, you don't need that fancy machine. Well, you need this fancy machine instead, but I've also seen people do it on the lathe. You just put your bar into a fixture on the cross slide and then put your hole saw in there. Totally works. This, I think, is, if you have a Bridgeport, this is probably the easiest thing to do. And then you need a bolt, right? That's pretty much all you need. This is a 5/8 16, I believe is the thread size on here, and a nut. You could also weld on a washer or something, and then you just tighten that up like that. You don't have a pilot, but you don't need it because you have a spindle, right? So you stick that in there like that. Stick that in your 5/8 collet, and you're off and running, kind of. So get this Robbie the robot hands to help me out. So the only real challenge with this is cutting the head off of a bolt. Just it's too challenging. If you do it with a hacksaw or whatever. It would be nice to have jaws, like soft jaws that had like notches in there to grip it on the right angle. You can also tip this head if you need a different angle. If you're doing a lot of the same angle, I'd recommend that. Just tipping this either this way or this way, and then you can put this piece of bar at whatever angle you need it at. It turns out I'm only gonna need 2 of these at this 50-degree angle. So 49.9, sure. Call that 50. There you have it. Okay, so I got this side all welded up. Got some rosette welds here and here. A little warm still, not too bad. And then I got this all sparkulated in there. I use this same spacer on this side as I did the other side. And that's centered left to right. I'll finish this all off with TIG because it's stronger, nicer, better. But for now, that's gonna hold it in place for the next stage. And then fast forward noises. I got this guy somewhat fitted. So I got a couple of tacks in there. And then I'll take this to make it all look like it was never there. All around here. And then I got this piece of whatever laying in here. And I'm gonna start making the cross piecers there. So this is at a 50-degree angle. So I got a notch on this side. And down here I'm gonna have to make it kind of a weird, kind of a 1-inch end mill with 45 degrees on each end, something. So I've been getting some questions on how to notch. And it's pretty straightforward when you have a pipe coming into a pipe at an angle, like we have here. But I'm going to have a pipe coming into an angle to that, whatever the floor plate is. So, I mean, you could draw it up in CAD and send it out to a CNC shop and have them, you know, that's not really, no, you can't do that really. So, every one's a little bit different. So in this case, what I'm doing, besides trying to hold this, there we go. I got a couple of different sizes. I got 1.5 inch, 1 5/8, 1 3/4. And so I'm just gonna line this just to get it kind of close. Like that one is tangent to the top, but not very good on the sides. And then that one is tangent to the top, a little bit better. And that one's maybe even better. So find something that's close, whether it's, you know, you go through your end mill drawer and see what you got that might be close. And use that, or a hole saw, or inevitably you're going to be doing some, you know, some grinding and to get it to fit right. I mean, you're going to have to do grinding anyway because you can't just weld this directly. You got to chamfer this, right? So you get a nice penetration. You got to have to chamfer it. So you're going to be doing a flap disc anyway, but you don't want to start from ground zero. So those will get you close, and then, you know, depending on the scenario that how it's fitting, you might want to have a hole saw and come in off center, like over here, you know, whatever. That's where the creativity comes and the fun comes. So have at it, but you're gonna have to play grinder probably, unless you can afford all notched laser cut tubing, which is also fraught with error, right? Because everything has to be perfect. Not only do you have to do all your bends exactly right and all your notches exactly right, but all your fixturing's just right. Like, you're never going to get the gap perfect without I don't know, $100,000 worth of tooling, something like that. So, and that's going to take months to dial in, and if you're making one, you're never going to get there, right? So you just need to roll over and accept the fact that this is what you have to do. This is what everybody has to do. You might see some stuff on TV, but I'm pretty sure that's all edited where it all fits together perfectly. It doesn't. My opinion. I could be wrong. Alright, so I got this thing set up for the main bar. It's supposed to be 19 and change degrees. And then I got this little doodad on here to make this even, so when I flip it over I can make everything perpendicular too. each other. Back here. Just put it in reverse. Okay, so I got a little bit of progress done. Got these guys kind of cleanerized up. Painters taped in. And I got the harness bar installed at the appropriate height. So that's what a properly, well, I gotta put a chamfer on there, but that's what a properly notched tube looks like. Again, this one was super easy because I know the angle of this, so I just set it at 19.15 degrees on my mill, my angulometer. And actually, yeah, so I have this guy here. So when I do that side, I get this one perpendicular to it. But remember, this thing has a kickback. I forget what it is, 7 degrees or 8 degrees or something. But anyway, that's what this, since these guys are notched precisely, this thing is on that same angle because it kicks back. So anyway, this is within about a 1/16 of an inch, measuring from here on the firm rail up to the center. Should be 21.35. Pretty nice having a white car. Looks good as a notepad. So now I need to go down to the wine cellar and grab a piece of virgin stock and basically the door bars are gonna go kind of like that into there, except for they're made out of tubing instead of a piece of, you know, piece of ruler. And I really want to make this thing so it's easy to get in and out of, because my wife really hates the Lotus 7 because it takes 20 minutes to get in and get the 6-point harnesses buckled up and yada yada yada. So I'm gonna try to make this one a little bit more friendly for everyone involved. So, and I think this is gonna be fine. It's just gonna kind of be like that. So it's gonna be a little bit harder to get into than a normal car, but I think it'll be fine. It's not like she's 80 or nothing. So, and then I also contemplated putting those little remover things, the dual bolt, like interlocking. I'll put a picture in the up there somewhere. I'm using those on the Bronco. Remember the Bronco? I got to get going on that Bronco thing. Yeah, so much to do. Anyway, we're making progress here, so this is good. This isn't set down all the way, so don't worry about that, but compensated for that. Yeah, then I gotta get these guys. I gotta get the sheet metal back on and then get this bar, this notched. That bar is gonna be fun. I'm really not looking forward to that. So, and then I gotta get the wheel wells back on here so I can get the bars that go to here. And in case you're wondering, I'm not gonna weld the bars to this piece of, I don't know if you can hear how thin that is. I'm gonna cut a hole in there and then weld the down bars to the frame because it's 1/8 inch thick. And then this will get welded up to that. So, yeah, this isn't particularly, I mean, it would be sitting on top of something structural, but it's nothing going to keep it from, right? This piece of O2 thin is just going to move out of the way. So anyway, I got some bars. I got a bar coming from here to here-ish. So I'll have to make those, and then a bar coming from up here down to here. I gotta make those, and there'll be mirror images left to right, of course. And I'm gonna try to make them clear that. I'm trying not to put notches in those guys, but I might have to. It's not like the wheel well up here is gonna be, you know, too big of a interference issue, and I have a lot of room to the inside because I got enough room for another, I don't know, 2.5 inches of tire, something like that. So probably not going to put that much tire on it. A little more plastic process here. So this is really close in CAD as well, which is good that it's really close here. But as you can see, that's kind of fallen off the edge of the frame rail. So I want to move that in a little bit. So I think what I'm going to do is tighten up this angle a little bit and tip that over. And then I'll make 2 of them that same size. And then it's going to hit this inner fender well, wheel tub thingy. But that's okay. I can do some metal work and make it so it clears that. So I think the more important thing is to get this down bar into something structural in here on both sides and get that welded in and, you know, structurally good. And then, you know, we can put a little ding in here. Oh, it's really black. In here somewhere there'll be a little dadoon, kind of like this one used to have for the. I still have to. I have a English wheel now, so I'm gonna play on that with the English wheel. Okay, so I got these guys cut out, pretty much the same as always. But basically, what I did, put it in the mill over there, 25 degrees, and I notched this with a 1 5/8 pull saw, and then I stuck it in here, kind of like that. This is what I used to cut my junk. It's kind of a cold saw, but it makes sparks and stuff. Anyway, so in order to get this level, you stick it in there, you get it kind of tight, a little bit. And then you just put a bar on here, like that there. And then you put a level on top of this and make sure that's level to the floor. And then you know that this cut is perpendicular to this cut. Now sometimes you don't want it perpendicular, but that's what you use an angulometer for. If this needs to be at 10 degrees, that'll come from CAD, or, you know, if you don't have it in CAD, then it'll come from somewhere else. But I knew that these were perpendicular because it's in CAD, but this thing is straight across the car, and then this is straight across the car, and so it just rotates down. This is a flat, this is parallel to this, so I knew it was the same angle, 24 degrees, and you look at this, I don't know if you can see that, but I got that set at 24 degrees. I mean, plus or minus 1 probably. It's not super accurate, but it's good enough. I'm gonna have to, you know, dress these up to get good penetration. I'm gonna put a big chamfer on there, you know, maybe 80 thou chamfer, something like that. You can't put a 125 chamfer because that's the thickness of the material. So 70 thou, 80 thou, something like that chamfer, and then you can put a nice fillet weld all the way around that. And then this one's the same size as this one. I already checked, it fits over there beautifully. So yeah, once you get, you know, I spent a lot of time doing this stuff and then designing the suspension, getting the outriggers. Like once you get kind of close, it all kind of falls together quicker, I think. We'll see when I start bending this guy, and I'm on my 4th tube to try and get that to line up, but That's going to be coming up fairly soon here. But those are the only hard ones, right? This one's going to be a challenge. Going there, hugging the A-pillar. And I'm going to be really critical of that because one of my pet peeves is people make roll cages and they don't consider how that increases the blind spot on the A-pillar. Like, I went to great lengths on the Sonda to make sure the bars are at the center seat, so it's quite a bit easier. But when you're sitting in the car, the shadow of the roll cage does not add to the A-pillar blindness, right? So the visibility in a race car is super important. A street car too, right? You got to see where other people are, but especially in the Lemon series where there's 150 of your closest friends on the track at the same time, spatial awareness is number one. Like, you could be the fastest driver in the world, but if you don't know where everybody is around you, so when somebody does something stupid, which inevitably they do, when they do that, you don't even have to look in your mirror and see if there's somebody there. You already know. Like, you're constantly, migrating your head around to look in the rearview mirror, the side view mirror, front, looking at cars in front that you know may or may not know how to drive, or maybe a novice in the seat, or a super aggressive driver. Like, all that stuff goes in the back of your brain, and you utilize that in real time, or preemptively do things because you know potentially what this driver is going to do. Now, it is a challenge because there are pit stops. So you could have a super aggressive driver in a car, or a super slow driver in a car, or a super terrible driver in a car. And then the next time you see them, they have a different driver. And so like, wait a minute, this must be a different driver because they're not acting all the same. So that you have to like recalibrate your calibration every lap, depending on, which driver's in which car. And they're pretty easy to pick out because all the cars are like different. It's not like a Spec Miata series where it just has sticker packages different. They're like all different makes, different years, different models, different modifications to them, different paint scheme, different theme, right? So it's super easy to recognize the cars without, knowing the number or the team super well. Anyway, I digress. Back to the roll cage stuff. If you haven't done a Lemons race though, you should definitely do that before your time's up on this planet. Okay, one more puzzle piece. Fake puzzle, but puzzle nonetheless. So I got this guy made. And this is where the rear cross member, that's one of the reasons I didn't finish the roll cage, because I needed to know where this was. This is where the cross member goes for the rear suspension to hold all the suspension loads and springs and whatnot. So I wanted to put this bar there. The stuff that's happening back here is, it's crush zone, but it's not transmitting loads really to the suspension. So I wanted this to tie into this. So pretty simple. I know some of you are asking how you get this notched all beautiful, and this one's going around in a circle. So I just tried 10 degrees, and then I tried 15 degrees, and I think I'm gonna end up with 13 degrees because there's a tiny little gap right here. But just putting that on an angle gets it fairly close. And now that I have this made out of plastic, this is a flat surface here, so I'll just mimic this when I make it out of metal. So you don't have to do this, you just go through more metal. And it's way faster to cut plastic, obviously. And obviously it's way cheaper. This was just leftover material that I had from some other household projects, but you could totally buy, this is like a standard size PVC, and it's a little bit bigger than 1 5/8, but not enough to worry about, right? For this kind of mock-up stuff. So I will get this thing chopped up and made, and we'll get that guy in place. I've also kind of set the seat pan in here, sort of. Not really, because the seat pan's gonna have to get notched to fit past the frame rail, but that's approximately where it sits. And the seats with the sliders and stuff are about 8 inches in the front. And this is like 9 here. So the seat's going to be like an inch below that, which shouldn't be too bad the way I have it kind of mocked up here. I'm still contemplating how I'm going to get this all welded good. I'd rather weld it out and then sit it back in. So I'm still kind of noodling how I'm going to do that. I'm actually contemplating cutting these bars off of the bottom here now, and maybe welding this a hoop to this, and then this to this, and then pulling it all out, welding it up on the bench, and then reinstalling it, and then I'll just have to weld around all of this stuff, which is super easy to get to, right? So that might be my better plan. The problem is there's only about 3 inches of clearance up and down, so if that's longer than that, that's not going to work. And on the other side, there's only 2 inches because I have the pedal box assembly mounts on there. So unless I want to make those removable, which is only going to gain me about 5/8 of an inch, so I may just modify the inner structure of that where the HVAC stuff was, which is I'm not going to use it anyway. It's going to all go back here. So I may do that, and then that'll be way nicer welds. Right? I'm just welding the floor plate in, and then I can weld everything external. Well, not everything. This guy's still going to have to go through this little hole here and get welded through an access hole in this piece. So, and I have, when I ordered the fastback conversion kit, it came with this piece. So I can cut a hole in there and just put a new piece of metal in there. Or I could use the old one and weld it back on, but I think I'd rather have like a removable panel in there. Maybe. We'll see. This is all subject to change with my discretion. This is my car. Anyway, we'll go down in the wine cellar and grab another piece of DOM tubing and get those two cut out. And then I haven't figured out how I'm going to make this little, because I can't weld the pipe to this flimsy ass sheet metal, so I'm gonna have to cut a hole in here and here and on the other side, so I can weld it directly to the frame rail. I don't know if you really call this a frame rail. It's as strong as a frame rail, but part of the unibody. I'll figure it out. How hard could it be? I have to use a die grinder. I'd rather not, but yeah, I have a feeling before this is published, I'll have it already done. But if you have any genius ideas on how to do that, I can add that retroactively. I would appreciate it. Okay, so now that I have this piece of PVC pipe fitted, it should be mirror image on one side, but that's fine. I can mirrorize it. So this thing is at 13 degrees. That is that angle. 13 degrees from perpendicular. That would be perpendicular. So if I lay this on my workbench here and make this so it's an angle like that. So what I did is I made this 13 degree thing here. With this flat, I measured the angle of this guy. You can see that. So I got my angulometer over here, and I made this be flat, and then I measured this, and it's 32 degrees. So that's that number right there. So when I put this on the mill to cut this flat, because I can't cut this in my chop saw because it only goes to 45, and this is 40. So well, it goes to 45, but that's really 50 on my saw, right? 90 minus 40. So I'm gonna have to put this on my milling machine. I mean, I'll probably take an angle grinder and get it close, so I don't have to chop, you know, all this material off with an end mill. But basically, what I'm gonna do is put this in my milling machine at 40 degrees, like that, and then cut this flat. So this thing is going to be, these numbers are going to be useful, right? Because I measured from here to where the end of that is, and it's 33 5/8. So that's that number there. And then I already know 13 degrees, that's good. And I already know this 40 degrees, which is this from horizontal. So now I can just take this guy here and flip it around, put it in my mill. I marked these little lines here so I can get that perpendicular in my mill. But I also have this. But the challenge is this is on a 13 degree angle and this is going to be on a 33 degree angle, so that compound angle is going to screw me up. So that's why I marked it on here, because I can't really measure the 13 degrees because it's compounded now. So that's why I got these little marks right here. So I'll make those level. I mean, within a degree or something, that's fine. And then I'll cut this until the distance from here to here is 33 5/8. And then I'll do that twice, except for one of them I'll rotate it this way and one of them will rotate this way, right? Because mirror image. So anyway, that's how I do it. It doesn't mean that's the right way, and every piece of tubing you're gonna use a similar but very different method depending on what your roll cage looks like. But you always have not always, usually you have a left and a right that are either exactly the same or symmetric, mirrored about the x-axis of the car. Okay, so here's my setup. Sorry, I gotta change that out for a cutter, but instead of a whole saw. But I got this 40 degrees approximately, and then when it was on my welding table over there, I set a 1, 2, 3 block down and scribed lines here when this was at 13 degrees. So there's no compound angle associated with that. And then I got 1, 2, 3 block on here, and I just made those lined up to that. So again, this is like not precision, but you're gonna have to like put chamfers on there and kind of fit it with a flat disc anyway. So this is just to get it close, so you don't have to like grind the world away with a flat disc. So it should be a nice tight fit when you're TIG welding it all. Alright, so my earlier setup didn't quite work because this handle here, you can't see, but it's down here, and the spindle are lined up, and so this thing at 40 degrees was hitting my handle. So I just kind of put the vise on cattywampus, and now I can crank the handles, and yeah, still should be able to get everywhere and machine this guy flat. I have my little marks right here, so I know how far to go, but I also know the distance is 33.62 from there to there. Okay, so I have this traced out. I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to machine this entire thing off because that's going to take forever, and yeah, this is not a very rigid fixture, so I'm going to take my angle grinder and saw this off through here, and then I won't have to machine away all of that material. Okay, so it's fresh from the mill. Haven't even deburred it yet. Gets right on to where that cross member is going to go. Nice and centered. There we go. Now I just got to make a mirror image of the other side, which is like, this is just the opposite. The 32 degrees is opposite of this one. So mirror. We'll get that one done. And then, yeah, this is starting to look like a swing set of sorts. Okay, so all the down bars are done. I made a mirror image of that side. Looks toasty, tasty, nicely. So now I just got to get the door bars built. Got your inside of that piece right there. And then we have, I don't know, 8-point gauge? No, 10, 12? Anyway. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then there's also going to be a bar going from here down to here. So that'll be a 14, and then, out of my way, towel. And then there's going to be the forward bars, which attach in here and go through. Yeah, you saw it in CAD if you watched my previous videos. If you didn't, this is a whole series, and I think we're at like 20, I don't know, 6 or something. So if you want to see how this thing started life, it was, yeah, it was a 6-cylinder car that I pulled out of somebody's driveway that they kind of were apparently planning on restoring, but then they didn't get past the internet stage, which is buying a bunch of bits and pieces, new wheels and tires and upholstered seats and carpet and yada yada yada, door seals, chrome, lots of stuff. I have a basement full of garbage that mostly I can't use. So hit me up if you need any crap like that. I got a lot of coupe stuff, 68 coupe stuff. So I pop these front floor plates out just to take a look. This is the right side, this is the left side, but this is where it meets to the torque box on the front of the 68. So, and these are, you know, intentionally long because I wanted it to stick through so I could mark it. Got an extra couple inches. But what I was talking about earlier is potentially, like, it looks like it's in the order of, you know, a little bit under 2 inches to where that. Now, if I have this little piece where it, you know, the bottom of the torque plate kind of looks like this, and the pipe comes through like that, right? So, if I cut it off straight, then I'd have to like put this piece in there. So I'd rather not have to do that, but it doesn't look like on the driver's side I have enough room to leave that in there, unless I do something kind of sneaky, which is just kind of notch this out right here a little bit. So this will kind of come down like that a little bit. Or I could, you know, this side's fine, but that side, since it has the heater blower thingy there, or the vent, I guess it's the vent thing over there. I'm not going to need that, so I may just chop that to give a little bit more room for the pedal box installation and for this installation, and then I can just trim this to here. I think that'd be the best, right? And then this will weld to the bottom of the floor, you know. So this piece of bar that's going through there will look like that, and then I'll just weld all in here. So, got to be able to put it together though, right? It's like building a ship in a bottle. If your tweezers and your parts are bigger than the opening in the bottle, it doesn't work. So, But I think this this makes more sense for the simple reason that I can, I have the floor plate. It looks like that, and I have the A hoop that looks like that, and then I can weld my door bar onto there, right? So I can get to this and this to weld it all the way around. This to this, weld it all the way around, and then this is sticking through. Well, I'm going to shorten that, right? It's going to look like that, kind of. So if I can slide this all in as an assembly, this is all welded, and then I just need to get, well, the only part that's going to be hard to weld is right here where the bar is coming up, and that's got, 5/8 of an inch, so that's really not going to be hard. Getting in here, inside the car, is the challenging part, right? Because this comes over, kind of like that. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I changed my mind a lot, but that's okay. Don't hold that against me. Come up with a better idea. You can't stick to the old dumb one. Alright, so I thought about what to do about my little dilemma here. What I'm going to do is just cut these off flat. That way I don't have to modify anything under the dash. Just pain in the you-know-what. So I cut this piece out of, this is the inside of the torque box. So this is like that, kind of like that. Can't really, you get the picture, like that. So that was like there. This is the bar here. It was like that. So I cut this out, and now I'm going to make a piece that basically goes over that way farther, and then I can weld this flat here. So, and I can use, this is like, it's pretty thick. This is probably 3/32 thick, just thicker than the rest of the body. So I can use some thicker material than that to tie that in, and also. Now that I have a big access hole in there, I can get in there with a sandblaster or wire brush or whatever and kind of coat all that. Because it all, I mean, it's just surface rust, but it all looks kind of, old. I don't think the camera can see too good, but I can. It's kind of rusty in there. But not rusty in a structurally bad way, but now I got a big enough hole that I can get in there and coat that, whether I use that fancy stuff. Yeah, there's some spiders living in there as well. Okay, so drop the piece out of the other side and trimmed off those. So now I'll just have to make a piece to fit in there and make it pretty. So I'm pretty sure this will come out now. I think I'm going to have to tip it top back to get it out, which means I can only weld the door bars to that part and not to this part, which is fine. I can totally do that. Easier to manhandle it in with, some grab handles there, and then we can put all this stuff together as an erector set. And so yeah, I think that's gonna work. So I got all these cut. I just gotta do a bunch of welding, which is, in case you haven't figured it out, not my favorite thing to do, because I'm not great at it. I don't like to do stuff I'm not great at, which means I don't get to do much, ever. Thanks for watching. If you like this content and want more, subscribe, like, and share.